Don Welvert, Chris's dad.
As a boy, was there a sense of adventure?
Oh, always with Chris. He was always taking something apart and trying to figure out what made it work. His nickname was MacGyver. And Chris was always the guy that had to figure out why things worked. So yeah, from an early on stage of his life, he was very inquisitive and wanted to know how to put things together.
Ryan Van Pelt, it was late 90s, I think, when we met through church. So,
Was he always talking about something about airplanes?
he's been an aviation guy for a while. When I first met him, it was more Jeeps than aviation, but yeah, he's been flying for a long time.
He was able to get a post here in Mount Joy, and boom, they said, guess what? You're going to Kosovo. So he spent his first tour over in Kosovo, and when he came back, he says, Dad, I think I'd like to fly these. And I said, you sure can do this. And I think that's all it took, because he took that as a challenge, and the next thing I know, he's off and flying.
Amber Welvert, and I am Chris's wife.
How'd you meet?
So he always tells the story best. In super short, how does a guy living in Illinois meet a girl from Michigan, going to school in Ohio, visiting her friend in Iowa? Only God. God is what brought us together.
Brought them together just weeks before 9/11 and the attack on America that would change so much.
I was in Ohio and he was in the Quad Cities. And when the towers went down, I didn't know if I would see my boyfriend or where he was going. So he went through 2-year deployments almost. The first one was our second year of marriage. When he left, I was teaching in my first year, and there were times I would wake up in 3, 4 in the morning because the time changed just to get to talk to him. And we made it a sort of pact right then that he didn't talk about the scary stuff.
Part of that scary stuff was shared that will never fade from their hearts, their minds, their souls.
A month to the day, we had something happen after we got married. 2 months to the day, he lost his job. He was laid off. And 3 months to the day, he lost his buddies overseas. And when he got that call on November 2nd, he should have been there. To him, it was he should have been there. It was his guys, even though he didn't deploy with them. And November 2nd holds a special place in our heart, just knowing that I can remember the next year I was at work and he sent me flowers and it said, just because I can. And everybody's like, oh, is it your anniversary? Is it your birthday? And I said, no, it's because he loves me and he's here. And it truly is.
But as their faith would remind them, God had other plans. Chris kept going, kept serving in any way he could.
When my wife had a family emergency down in Texas, and I let him know that there was a family emergency, he must have misunderstood what I was asking, because he immediately just said, hey, when can she be at the airport and I'll fly her down? He thought I was asking for a flight, right? He's giving and he enjoyed flying. He had a passion for it, but his jobs have been service oriented, whether it's plowing roads or whether it's been serving in the military. I'll reach out to him by phone and he'll be there within hours if I have an electrical issue or have a tree down. When you build character like that and you're working behind the scenes and you're doing the school and you're doing the effort and you're doing the work, it shows later. You know, he's flying and got a plane, he's pursuing his dream. It's just neat. It's an inspiration for me.
Paul Petersen, I'm a friend of Chris's. We became friends about 7.5, 8 years ago. I had bought this first aircraft behind me, and we really became friends because when he was off from the military, he would always offer time to do very difficult cross-country flights, which helped get me experience that I would never do on my own. And one of the things that was very important about that was, you know, I also let him use this plane. He got his ratings. I got the experience of a lifetime, and honestly, the day that I passed my check ride, my flight test in this plane, he was on one of his first airline flights. So He was the only person that couldn't make it. And the neat thing about that is, since then I've exposed my kids to aviation, and my oldest daughter is a senior in high school now, but she's going to go to University of Dubuque, and she got one of the best scholarships for the flight program there at Dubuque. So our relationship hasn't only impacted me and helped me hit a really big goal. Now 2 of my 3 girls want to go into aviation too. Just a week and a half ago, we took a plane up around the Chicago skyline and went and had lunch in Schaumburg to take my 12-year-old daughter on a ride. And that's one of the busiest areas in the country. I never would have attempted it, but he was more than willing. He always is. And the funny thing about him is he's so humble about what he does that, you know, I try to get him to ever flex, because he's got a lot of cool stories and things like that, but he just, his primary goal, in my opinion, since I've known him the last 7 years, is he puts others first.
Meeting and inspiring so many people along the way.
So everybody when we moved would always say, "Oh, are you staying here?" And we would always tell them, till God tells us that we're moving. We made 9 moves in 9 years, in our first 9 years of marriage. And then we've been in the Quad Cities. When he hit 20 years, they would say, I'd have people come up, "When's he retiring?" And I said, "They pay him to fly right now. When he retires, I have to pay to have him fly." No, now he has changed in flying commercial, so he's getting paid to fly and do what he loves.
And now, after an incredible career of service, his family is coming first as he prepares for the final flight in service to his country.
And with this faith, is this part of his way to serve?
As a follower of Jesus, he's passionate about God and about serving others. But again, it's that humility. It's that willingness and that desire to love others. I think a man of character is going to serve in whatever way he can, wherever he is.
What do you think it's going to be like for him on the final flight?
The final flight hasn't hit, I don't think, for him yet, because he, a few weeks ago, went to drill, put his uniform on and said, "I only get to put this uniform on 2 more times." He's been in since he was 18. And aviation for so many years has been his life, and he's not giving that up. He's still flying. Once he embraces something and figures out what he's going to do, he puts his mind to it, and he's going to do it.
As a father, what can you say about the pride that you have in what he has accomplished and the stories you hear of how much he's helped other people along the way?
Can't enough be said how proud I am of him, especially some of the things he's had to overcome to get to where he's at. And he's always been that kid or that guy that has helped people along the way, no matter what it was. But he's always been in a position of serving people.